So, as you guys are quite familiar, I have a large head, and Dan has a small head. And Dan has a small head for his body as well, which makes the kind of scale difference quite ridiculous. So, SteelSeries have got this new headset out, right? I'm going to just throw this over here for a second. And I'm going to put this over here for a second, right? So, okay. So, we got this Arctis Pro wireless headset from SteelSeries, one of which is here. So they sent us a bunch of these this week, and I've been using mine. I've been using mine in the office. We've got loads of them sent in, so I've been using this one in the office. So we're just gonna have a very quick look at that. Dan, here, look. Let's just. So what's cool is sometimes you get smaller headsets and sometimes you get larger headsets, right? And obviously with big head, you want a larger headset. So we've got this is a small head. The small head test looks pretty comfortable.
It's very nice, very nice.
Yeah,
it's very comfortable.
It comes with a little controller thing, which I'll show you later, and you can comment on the large head comparison there. You can do the voiceover.
So, if you're a human, you're gonna fit within this range, is what you're saying.
The either end of the ergonomic spectrum.
There's still a gap. Despite the size of my head. Fantastic. I've got a long ass head, and we're looking good. This band is called a ski. What is it? It's a ski something. Something to do with skiing. It's on the inside. It's in the manual. Okay. This is like some kind of ski band. I'll get the right thing. But what's cool about this is I've been using this in the last week on my stream here in the office. And as those of you tune into my stream like to know, I like to walk to the espresso machine in the kitchen. Just talk to people even though I'm off camera. This actually has longer range than ones I've used before, which is pretty cool. And also when you mute your microphone, there's a red light which comes up here. And
that's very embarrassing.
Maybe I'll do it over here. Top down cam. I don't know if it's okay. You can see the red light, and it's gone away. Look, it has a light switch turn on and off. It's like a light switch, but also with sound. So these are cool.
That's actually kind of important, you know, because sometimes you'll go an entire first half of a scrim and you think your mic's on, and you've been talking the whole time.
I do that all the time,
and then
man.
You just think your teammates are mean the whole time. You know what I mean? And
I do that all the time, dude. I get mad ragey when people that listen. I'm like, do you want to flash? Do you want to flash? Or flash me in. I'm standing in the corner like, come on, flash me in. I'm like, for God's sake. And then the stream's like, we can't hear you. And because I've got a delay on, it takes like a minute. Like, oh man. So the light is a nice touch. Yeah, it's a nice headset. The battery lasts pretty good. It's pretty comfortable. I'll get the name for this, but it's cool that you're not like rubbing on the top, but it's all nicely done. It's nicely done. Anyway, we've got a new game for you, a new match coming. We had Tricked with a very strong performance. Hunden was happy with that. Had a little conversation with him on Twitter. And now we have FAZE versus Big Clan. New look Big Clan. Smooth is back in the mix once again. No God B, of course. Have you seen many of Big's recent games?
I watched them last week. I think they're still figuring it out. You know, they lost their in-game leader, which is huge. So there's going to be a huge shift in their system and their strats, especially with Smooya coming in as well. So it's going to be interesting how they adapt. FAZE, they've got they're also in that transitional phase. They've Cold Zero obviously stepping in. I love to see that.
Yeah.
I like to see him on a team, a different team, and just kind of spice things up for us spectators.
Yeah.
And they've got that young talent Brokey in there as well, and we'll see, you know, how well he performs at this level. Because you know, trying to find a spot with a team of legends, it's a very intimidating task. It could be a lot of pressure.
Yeah, to squeeze in. I think in a lot of situations like that, I think you almost need to be a little toxic and arrogant just to kind of get the right fit in the team, because otherwise it's like, no one wants to do this, you do this. And that might not be the best thing for the team, right? And I think on a team like that, I'd be surprised. I think by default, it should be like that with the personalities they have and just the level of skill and what they've achieved and so on. It should be like that, like on paper, but also shouldn't be like that because that's not necessarily the strongest thing for the team. But I like that they've essentially made two changes more or less at the same time, because I feel like when you have like a 4-person core and one person's rotating, and then they eventually rotate another person. I feel like your changes might not be as dramatic in a positive way if you have 2 changes separate versus 2 changes at the same time. But anyway, I believe we can look at the veto to see where we will be playing. Don't forget, Dan, have you got a knife yet? Look, you could get the shadow daggers. They're cheap, no one uses them.
That's because they suck.
I mean, that's possibly true, but the thing is, you could get a bargain. Get yourself a knife. I have 10 knives, and now Dan has none of them.
I'm not just
so
bargain-driven, James.
he's
just
using,
not out for a bargain.
He's using the stock knives
not a bargain hunter.
Okay, so here is the veto. Inferno, Nuke, and Train. Interesting collection of maps here. We got the Vertigo vetoes. I do wonder, we've got more matches to come, right? I do wonder if we're going to see Vertigo floated by teams. We're just going to assume the other team's going to veto it because those changes are so dramatic, but big get it out of the way immediately. Inferno, Nuke, and Train.
Yeah, it's the classic Inferno pick. It's a pretty safe pick. Although it is interesting because Big, that's typically been their home map forever, has been, Inferno. So it is interesting to me because when you look at Big, we had that interview with Smuya before where it's like, yeah, I'm just as comfortable with tabseN as we've got B's, like he's amazing caller and all the rest of it. And it's interesting because it reminds me of when Karrigan stepped out as a solution to the stagnancy on FAZE initially, and then Nico took over. And I wonder if it's that thing where eventually you may feel like your IGL, especially if he's not like a crazy fragger, isn't, I could just do that because you just been running the same stuff for ages. You kind of know how that guy does it. It's like, I could do that. But then when you try it, it doesn't quite work out as it did before. So I wonder if that's where Big are with tabseN leading. I don't know how I feel about that.
There's a lot of people who don't know how they feel about that.
It's like when Shox went to leading, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Nico goes to leading, like.
Right. Those are big shoes to fill. And Gabi, I mean, he was a mastermind genius. And you can, if you play under a really good IGL, you can kind of pick up things here and there. But there's still some like innate ability in IGL to like intuitively call strats and like feel the other team out, like things that only experience had provided. And like going through all those like bad calls or good calls or knowing what feels right, what doesn't feel right, being able to make those calls. And as an IGL, those are huge. Those are things you can't really teach. You just have to go through it with time. Yeah.
Actually, a side point. Let's say before Blameoff was picked up by Complexity. Like, I don't think everybody. Well, no. A better way to pose it. I suppose would be. I think that some people would like to see Gabi still play. I suppose there is a question as to if he can keep up with the new blood, with the young African fibers, 17-year-olds on the servers. That's always a question. That's always a question. Like with Zeus, essentially, I'd say a lot of the reason why he retired. But either in an in-game leader or a coach capacity, I feel like, especially in North America, even with some Europeans in tow, there's so much he has to offer. I don't know what he's doing at the moment, if he's just taking a break or if he's kind of floating around in big somewhere. But I would like to see him get picked up by an org which has a huge structure behind them, like a Complexity. You could argue they probably have the biggest structure behind them of any team at the moment in Counter-Strike with the Dallas Cowboys. And basically a blank checkbook. I would like to see him in a situation like that where you can kind of build your own project, but you don't have any limitations in terms of money, in terms of anything. But you can just do whatever you want.
Yeah, and he's the perfect man to do it too. I mean, just how much experience he has in all the different variety of players. And I think he's very comfortable with the system that he wants to run. He knows exactly what players he needs to fit those spots. So I'd love to see that. I mean, you just like your big point, like you mentioned, is that as you do get older, it is difficult to frag because sometimes you just simply have to get the kills. And sometimes other teams exploit you, like some of the older players that just aren't as quick anymore. So there is that kind of liability. But it'd be interesting to see what players he would pick up, and if that could happen.
I'm actually really curious as things move forwards, because we're always still trying to understand how esports is in terms of how long a career is. And it's such early times that I wonder if we'll get to that point where, like with LeBron James, for example, he's a perfect example of, if you put all the science into the right individual, you get someone who has a career that's twice as long with the peaks as twice as long.
Do you mean steroids?
As anybody else. And no, James. No, James.
Carry on.
So I wonder, if if you find the right guy that can have like the consistency and the work ethic, and you have the right support around that person, how long was the career going to look? How long will that career look like? Will it actually be that the mechanical elements of the game is mitigated by the correct approach? Because right now, everybody's just out there just making it up as they go along. We're only just now getting more support from the traditional sports world as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like when you think about sports, it's so physical. So if you take care of your body, you eat well, you stretch, you have like a physical therapist and all that, you can extend your career. But there isn't much research on extending your mind and keeping it sharp. Like what are those things that we can do to keep our reaction speed and our cognitive performance and decision making, all that stuff.
Yeah, I think there's almost a limited understanding of with those points, the idea of focus and like where your focus is at, like when your focus is fatiguing, what are mitigating methods to help you when you're, I mean, like for example, when I was doing the podcast with Elise, he was talking about the having a really good C game. So when you are playing bad, when you like recognizing when you're in that spot, to know the right protocols to put yourself in spots where you're not having to perform to your best. You can kind of just handle things, take it a little bit easier, but still perform well enough that you can do your job in the game. And for example, stuff like visualization, all the different methods to visualization, which are super key in having better reactions. Like all the pro players are visualizing every single spot before it happens. That's what one of the main reasons why crosshair placement is more than just putting your crosshair on a spot. It's also a mental aspect to it as well.
Yeah, I mean, esports.
Sorry to interrupt, guys. Sorry to interrupt. I got to take control of this show, man. We need to have a look at the bracket. Don't forget, it's not a podcast. We need to keep things moving. Oh no! Mouse Sports have lost 2-1 to Mix. I just wanted to have a look at this and see an update. We still need to get through the predictions, but here we go. I saw a really horrible highlight at the end of Dust 2 where Mix were on the T side in overtime and they had 5 auto snipers and took out 3 players trying to cross mid doors, which is brutal, and the brutality continues. So in fact, we won't be seeing more of Mouse Sports. It'll be Mix and Tricks later on this week. But
wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, I love the conversation. However, we need to make predictions for the match to come. For me, it's really difficult with the changes these teams have made. I haven't seen too much of FAZE just yet with these 2 new players, but I kind of want to lean towards FAZE because I feel like for me there are more question marks as to a non-Gob-B or a Gob-B-less big than there are for FAZE. I have more expectation on that side of things.
It's always a difficult one because I feel like FAZE are a team that don't play as well online, and bigger a team that play very well online typically. So that actually evens it out a little bit for me. But I'm still going to go with FAZE because as like the point you were making, I don't think it's quite clicking for big yet.
Yeah, I would go with FAZE as well. I think they're individually they're just pound for pound stronger. So I think they've got more fraggers, and if you were going to give big any advantage, it would be the advantage of like structure and strats and playing well together as a team. But they don't have that, of course. So I'll have to pick FAZE.
Sliggy.
I'm going to go with UK's Hope.
Oh.
I'm going with big.
Oh man.
All right.
Well, of course, expected.
Okay, Patriot X or something like that. Fair enough. Actually, one thing I didn't get to mention earlier was, in terms of like Gob-B's influence, Smuya I think is a great example because he's a young kid who's like, I wouldn't say hot-headed, like when he first came, but he doesn't know anything. Like he's got a lot of raw talent, but he doesn't know anything yet. So Gob-B provides him with structure and basically oppression because he's so young and just wants to go around and do what he wants and just
a little bit.
Kind of So I think it was rough, and it was always going to be. It's a learning process, right? And I think it was an interesting interview Smuya had where he was talking about that, but he learned so much from it. And I think the break had pros and cons when Smuya left the team. I think it has cons because it makes him look unreliable. It has pros in that he has a moment to look at perspective and be like, oh my God, look at all this structure. And he realizes how much he didn't know about the game. And now he's back in a team. I think that's worked out quite nicely. Now we need to look at the numbers. We need to look at the pinnacle numbers. But first, I think it's the fan numbers. I would imagine, I think FAZE is just such a big brand. Like Manchester City Football Club are coming out with FAZE on their
yeah, that was really cool.
Jackets. That's insane. Considering how much money's behind Manchester City, that's pretty wild, man. It's pretty wild. As a Manchester United supporter, I never understood like who their fans were. But anyway, 80%. Yeah, that's what we're expecting, or we're expecting more anyway. FAZE is just such a big brand; they're just all over the place these days. So that's pretty solid. But what are the pinnacle odds? Because looking at the history of I think I want to say it said FaZe were 100% on Mirage in the last 3 months, but how good is that data now with all these new players in tow for both teams? I don't know how much we can really trust those numbers, so I think it might be hard to like lay odds for a match like this. But here we go. 1.59 FaZe are the favorite with Big as the underdog. So I think we're all on the same page. Obviously, Sliggy's he's just gone for a mate's vote, which is fine. But you know, looking at it from a more neutral point of view, I think this is all very reasonable.
Yeah, I do wonder how FaZe are going to transform as time goes on. If there'll be another roster change. You know, you've lost a guy like Guardian, who obviously provides a lot with an as a dedicated AWP. I could see a world where Nico decides to go dedicated AWP and does the AWP or IGL thing. Although I think in theory, I don't know. Like, what do you think about the whole AWP IGL thing? Because I felt like it's kind of like a phase in terms of we had a couple that were really good at one point. Like obviously Fallen being a prime example.
I think problem right now is Nico stepping into that IGL role. I don't think he's gotten quite comfortable with it yet, even though he's had so much time. I mean, he's literally like a top 3 player in the world, and now you force him into this position where you have to be selfless as an IGL. Like you're the ones like, you know, faking or dropping weapons or like making distraction plays. You're not getting set up for success late round. So we've seen a huge drop in his performance. So I'm interested to see how he, you know, like now he's got Coldzera, he's got another legend, and they're still trying to find themselves. And it's now they got Brokey too. And I think what they've been really missing is like a 5-man solid roster with like an IGL. And it's just like they never have been able to find themselves, even though they have stars.
I was sad when they got rid of Karrigan, because I think like when he left Astralis is fair enough, because they kind of gone through the ringer, but they replaced him with another IGL, right? And that was that kind of it's not results oriented, but they replaced an IGL with an IGL. Whereas I don't feel like that's always been the case with FaZe.
Must be nice to be a Danish team, James.
Yeah,
you've got your pick of IGLs, right?
Yeah,
like
but
anyone else.
Yeah, I think they could go more hybrid, like Liquid, where you don't necessarily have like a dedicated AWP. But anyway, we'll see how they're doing at the moment. I was just, if you're wondering why I was on my phone, I was looking at the results for Mouse Sports in their game. They 16-5'd on the second map, but they lost Inferno 16-9 to finish things off. So that is quite a shocker for them, and that's their run over for this entire week.
They got creaked.
Do you know what's great about this? Is that it's basically like playing knife rounds on the FACEIT in North America about 30% of the time. So it makes me feel better about myself that this happens in pro matches as well.
It's so crazy. Like if you think about the IGLs in Denmark, you've got Snappy, you got Hunden, you got MSL, you got Glaive. Who am I missing? Am I missing someone? I feel like there's pretty.
Maybe. You've got whoever was on Tricked. They're playing phenomenal from their last best of 3 series.
Hunden.
Oh yeah.
I just want to note, like people say, you know, left, right is the quickest way to frag someone in a knife round. No, it's not. The quickest way is to play with a teammate and both right-click the same person. That's how you do it.
Oh, blame F as well.
True.
Yeah.
So assuming the 2 people who engage knife each other, then the second guy swings in. That's how you win knife round, guys. Watch me on stream. I'll make it like 2-3 assists, 1 or 2 kills. Enough about me, though. It's time for the professionals. FaZe will be defending to start off with. Doesn't look that way. Very aggressive on this pistol round, making their way down mid. Lots of sound cues, and Brokey might have a nice angle. This is getting really weird now. The bomb's been dropped immediately, and look at the position. Brokey's baiting now, because his teammates are at the bottom of mid.
This is actually a really awesome spot to be in your FaZe. You've got so much presence. Although here comes the swing, and you need that quick, fast headshot there from Rain to make this one work. I don't know what the odds, or how this could rather be turned around by FaZe in this situation. Big now, clustering up, moving in towards the A-bomb site. Olofmeister's in the pit though, and it is Olofmeister after all. So let's see what he can do from this position. It's all the stepping. He's going to have to make his play.
Know. He's going to get at least 1 or 2 clean shots.
Oh my god, they don't check it. That could be round ending. Meister's doing more damage, picks off the player on balcony. Now it's up to Nex. Just the 1 versus 1 USP battles. It could have been if they would have just cleared the pit or something, Nex will still win the round. But oof, those are a little bit too hairy.
I'm amazed they lost. The CTs lost that, considering they had the bomb drop second mid, and they had bottom and top mid and a bait situation. But such is life, especially in a pistol round. Next in the 1 versus 2. Look at that 180. That was beautiful. One thing that Dan said to me, which I did listen to, is that you should always be your 180s should always be on lock with one swipe, basically, more or less. Is that a good summary? Kind of. Not really.
Yeah, you need to be able to do a strict 180 and have a mouse reset like immediately after it. So in case you get shot in the back, you can do a complete. Because normally when you're thinking about your mouse mechanics, you're thinking that you are comfortably able to flick left and right within 90 degrees at the center point. So if you have a 180, then you can do that. You can have a 360 coverage with very little.
Well, this is quite the take of Banana. It's pretty standard stuff with the double nades towards the tree and so on, but to do it in a 4-spy round after losing the pistol is a great start. Next walks through a smoke with an AK-47 and he dies. This is not a good round from Big.
Big trying to recover this, but it's going to be difficult. Have to clear out the bomb site first with those MAC-10s. And FaZe aren't really allowing it. Great round from FaZe. And these kinds of rounds are going to be scary from start to finish for Big because it's FaZe. You know, you put anything in any of their hands and they'll be scary.
And that, yeah, those double nades tree, that's rare, super rare on these second rounds. So that maybe that was a hard read that they had. But it was a great call, took someone down from 100 HP.
Yeah, that was an uninspired start for Big. I'm not a fan of scouts on Inferno, personally, especially on the T side. I think you're asking for a hell of a lot. I think the AWP on the T side finds most of its use post-plant. So to have a scout, I think, is... Like, I'd be interested to number crunch one of those big IBM PCs, scouts on 4-spy rounds on the T side of Inferno. How much mileage you get out of them, average damage, and so on. And like, just think about what other options may be more appropriate. If you look at, for example, how Sanji uses a MAC-10 on the T side of Inferno for Avangard. Sometimes you've got burst plays where you've got a flash up mid and he just comes flying out of Boiler, for example, but I think to look at how he uses that in comparison would be really interesting. While holding down the arch position, really delaying things. He picked up a rifle, Big, but they're about to lose some more personnel, maybe not. Now things get awkward. There are 40 seconds on the clock. They could potentially, Big, send one person in as a scout, although probably safety in numbers is best at this point. They're all low. But there's a bomb plant chance. They all have Kevlar, even though they're low, so they're not paper thin. Not too far above it, though. That's enough information. Broki's just got a wide swing, sees one, falls back. Got a flash in towards Paul, buying some more time. Santares eats the flashbang, afraid of a re-aggression, and here comes Rain. There may be no bomb plant in this round. Nice recovery from FaZe. And now Big are on Eco.
I feel like one thing that Big have also failed to do is they took Santares, and in Space Soldiers he was looking incredible, and he's obviously an FPL god, but in Big he's been terrible. Like statistically,
yeah,
he's there to be a star player. He's not a star player on this team, or has yet to show us that.
Yeah, I think in Space Soldiers he probably had the freedom to do whatever he wanted at any time. And when you have skill like that and reaction speed, you're going to find a lot of opportunities. But then he's switching to Big, and when he did play under Gabi, it was a completely different system. And I've seen some interviews where they've talked about the language, the loss in language.
The language barrier, yeah.
Xantares is not very good at English, and that's what Big was using, I think, So, you know, mid game, late game, obviously your impact's going to be affected when you can't really work with your teammates and communicate.
Right.
So that's got to be frustrating.
Santares is having an internet reconnection, so there will be some delay. I was going to say he heard your comments, Dan, and he left, but Yeah, he has not been. His skills have not been exploited like they were on his previous team, which I'm still sad fell to pieces. It's disappointing, especially because he was just like notorious. It was so easy to talk him up when he had an AK-47 and just say he's going to wreck everyone, he's going to pop heads, and it happened way more often than not. But now it feels like if you had never seen him on his previous team, you'd be like, who's the Centaurus guy? He's not doing anything. You wouldn't understand why he's on the team.
Yeah, he was a highlight reel on Space Soldiers. I mean, he just insane talent.
But the thing is, if you're having to think in a foreign language, that just it's going to be
that's like
mentally
hesitation,
taxing, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. It's going to take longer to communicate things. Things are not going to be as smooth if you're playing off of your teammates. Especially, I think Turkish is difficult to head towards English. Not so common. There are people around you. I don't know if he still lives in Turkey or what the internet is like there, actually. So, because if he's living somewhere else, anywhere else, he's probably going to have to speak more English than if he's at home, essentially. And that makes things a lot worse in terms of picking up the language.
It is another thing which is really interesting about Counter-Strike, something we're really exploring, is you see these talents like Xantares coming up on a local team for him, a Turkish team, and then saying, okay, can we pluck this guy even though he doesn't speak great English? How's the impact there going to be? Because there is that, like what you say sometimes, James, like there's like Counter-Strike English in terms of call-outs and stuff. So that obviously is something that I'm sure is happening right now for Xantares. But is there like a greater limitation that unless he actually starts practicing English all the time, that they won't be able to get past?
I would say there are different levels, because call-outs and things like that should be easy. But if you're in any random situation where you want to say like peek on my contact or flash me around this corner or something like that, the more like mid-round, late-round calls going to be more difficult to get out quickly.
Yeah, those aren't common English words that use daily either. To put together in a sentence.
Yeah, there's a bit of block building to be done there. Big trying to take control of the rest of Banana. Sometimes you might see a Molotov a little deeper in this position in case there's a sniper around the corner holding an angle on the half wall, but there is no molly around there for Big. Xantares is nadeless on Banana. Rest of the team focusing on a take of top mid. Denial of information. But when you see a sniper on the short position, there's often a re-aggression later on. We'll see Olofmeister forced away for now. One of two snipers for FaZe in this round. coldzera towards B with the second one. So Brokey's on the rifle for now. So maybe they are a hybrid team after all.
FaZe still has 3 smokes here. Let's see, okay, so Big, they're rotating back to a B exec. But FaZe, they have smokes. They just threw one there. coldzera's probably got the next one. They're gonna have to go through this.
Yeah, this timing. Oh, that's meaty. That's really nice. And there's another smoke to come. Brokey doesn't have the best angle for it though. And here comes the push from one player's made his way towards CT. Brokey had to get more from that. Wasn't able to though. coldzera's been spotted at the back of the site. No one is anywhere close to him. He's got 13 seconds to try to hold on. The bomb's on the floor. Needs to be collected. Big are super slow, but I don't think Rain's going to get the flashbang in time. There it is. There's a flashbang. There's the peak. There's the kill. There is no plant to be had. Next in construction. That was so laboured from Big.
Yeah, there's like no pressure on Cold at the back, or very little pressure. They were struggling so hard to get in there.
They didn't know for sure how many people were on B, I guess. But the FaZe was so far away. It took so long just to get in position to throw that flash from the well that you thought in most cases coldzera is going down and the bomb's getting planted, but it wasn't the case on this occasion. That's a big opportunity lost for Big, no pun intended. Now we've got the AK-47 on next and a bunch of pistols.
So this is interesting now because FaZe, they get to the double orbs, they'll have their economy rolling, all the nades and so on and so forth. So this becomes a real test for Big in terms of having to win like really legit gun rounds.
That wasn't a very good first round by Big. They had to run through smoke's beat. They just blindly ran in 2 people, so generally when you hit banana, you want to throw at least a smoke spawn, maybe 1 spindle or coffin, and then get 1 flash.
I think what you said about the feel earlier with in-game leaders is a really good point, especially with timing and having good comms around the map to get a feel as to what is going on everywhere. I don't know if Rain heard the grenade being primed there. Either way, he will hold his position. Doesn't want to get caught reloading. The Tabs doesn't go for a punish. Great awareness. Tabs are now on 36 HP. He's baiting the reload. I think the first reload, he baited a push through the smoke. I'm not sure if he actually reloaded the second time, but that's smart stuff. Falls back, trade frag if necessary. Great stuff from FaZe. Good spatial awareness. 5-1, 5 rounds in a row.
And so this buy round will be interesting. I would like to see Big play it super slow, let the CTs nade banana, then do like a delayed retake banana, just play passive there and take apps first. Maybe take top mid first.
Yeah, because FaZe has set the presence that they're gonna push down B heavy with nades. Not this round.
Yeah. This is a really solid mix-up from FaZe. A 3-man stack towards the porch area. It's actually really cool that they've opted to go for this. And income Big. This is a fast timing for a top mid take. It's looking a little bit disjointed here, but great counter utility usage from FaZe to really make it impossible. Oh my god, FaZe is so ready for this.
It's quite a Molotov, but they didn't really take position, do they? Dumping of utility, making things worse. Great spray. And that's a double denial. Mickey Mouse, top mid. This is really rough for Big.
It's pretty cool actually, because sometimes I think it's really hard to predict it, but if the CTs start with 3 banana, which can often happen, so you can really just take immediate control of banana, there is a fast timing window to attack the A bomb site where you can be 5 versus 2. You rarely see teams go for it too often, but FaZe had a stack on top mid at the beginning of the round, so they were ready for that.
Yeah, it was a good call and confusing play there. Smooya just ran up. There was no support nades on either side of mid.
Yeah.
They heard the op shot mid. They knew where one person was, but Smooya just ran up. There wasn't any scaling together, any trades. And it's just too.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah, it looked really kind of puggish there instead of coordinated. And that's a bad sign, because if Big can't have a good impact with their tactics, I mean, then if you're just weighing up the individual level, you're probably favoring FaZe there pretty heavily. So Big have to step it up from that, in that sense. And this again has always been a comfort pick for Big. Inferno was often their home map.
Yeah, and it's two big gun rounds there. Kind of just, again, the word you use, disjointed, and it's a little sloppy. Generally, when you take mid and you know CTs have a lot of money, you want to, especially have an op, you want to isolate one side of mid by smoke or mauling it, so then you can focus on the other, so you don't get crossfired.
Santorez is retesting his internet once more, but I think we need a reset of Godbe's retirement. I don't know, man. I feel like, he was such a great presence on his team. You're always going to feel his lack of presence. But again, we don't know what the long term holds.
Yeah.
But there's just so much attention to detail with him. Everything is scrutinized. Comes up with so many little strats and grenades.
Yeah. Every time they would play a match, you could tell they had a set game plan going in. It looked like their first 6 or 7 rounds were already planned. Like, everything was crisp, everyone had the right nades, everyone was transitioning to the right place when they're finishing the rounds.
Yeah, without him on the team, I think on any team, in most cases, you're going to have a less discipline unless somebody like an MSL replaces him, who's also a super nerd.
I mean, I do wonder as well if what Big were trying to do there, because they got top mid at they were going top mid at 130. That's extremely quick, and so I do wonder if they are just saying, hey, let's just gamble. Let's just gamble that they're stacking 3 towards B. Which in that case, if FaZe had done that, they would have probably crushed that round. But that wasn't what happened.
Well, this looks very god B. Pistols, but tons of utility. Trying to avoid the minefield.
And by now, Big should know FaZe has two.
Nice.
They should know they have 2 ops. So if they can smoke off this B site, they should be able to get in. At least get a plant.
Looking to storm the B bomb site. Even with pistols, FaZe, they're playing it safe, and oh, we got Fnatic strats. Fnatic would wall off the front of the site and try to wrap, although this is a little different. Oh, bigger creeping. They're just going to swarm everywhere. This is going to be absolute bedlam with the odd flashbang. coldzera falling back to avoid. Broki's got a nice line. There's a clay pigeon for coldzera. Broki will deliver a second frag, but he's exposed towards the pool position. And they will fall from there. coldzera blind now. And 2 players remain for Big. Smoke's still up. CT's got to be patient.
Ooh. Taking a quick tag there. Big in the post plant. That all pickup is going to be vital. Such a strong gun for a situation like this. Xantares picks off Olofmeister, playing it well with the reposition to pull. Smia still shouldering from New Box. What can he find there? As the double peek towards Coffins. Xantares with the bait. Smia still not committing though. In the 2 versus 2, FaZe have to stop pressing. Now there's not much time. Rain from the back. Smia wasn't covering in time, and they're both dead.
Close, but not close enough.
Very close, yeah. Yeah, Rain had to be holding that for, or at least peeking at some point, I guess. But it's hard to know.
Gambles sometimes don't pay off.
But this was a good attempt, though. I thought the round was really smart from Big. FaZe had they didn't have anyone able to take top mid's control. So Big had a really good timing window where FaZe had no info, and FaZe had to gamble rotate, cheat the library player across to B. So FaZe played it really well, also as well as you could play it in that situation.
Yeah, I would have liked Big. They made the smart play, creeping up close into the smoke. And I would have liked to see a pop flash, and then them running through the smokes. They also could have planted it as well. Good pick by Xantares. See if we can get a support flash here to take this top side.
He's going to see the barrel of the gun. Well, maybe he realized a little later on he will fall to the likes of coldzera. Silent Force making a comeback once again. Another meaty grenade. Great utility damage being used. This is a smoke for library. Leaves Arch open for the wrap. Oh, his crossover was on, but next was too fast. 3 versus 4 from FaZe's perspective. Library being cleared. Rain stuck on the site alone. coldzera and Nico committing to the CT spawn position. Blaze and Moto as well. A split of the A-bomb site is on. It's taking some time though, creeping through the smoke, and Rain really needs some help. There's Nico from the back. That's the distraction. Big Run B's been spotted and swatted on the A-bomb site, so a plant should be good for Big.
The way that Tizian peeked that was really, really smart. I'm going to copy that. So with a defensive frag onto coldzera, not much that Nico could do here, you'd imagine. 1 versus 3 as he creeps in from Porch. They don't know where he is just yet, but they have players covering everything. 2 players on site, 1 in pits. Completely, it's just totally ideal for this kind of a play, or any play really. It's a good default setup. And Nico's just looking to try to catch somebody here. He needs to get given a free one to entertain the chances to do this. There is one. Number 2 comes in, and he's got the 3rd. Nico, he's got time as well. Beautiful quad kill. They moved off the mark just a little bit too soon, and Nico with the full punish.
Oh my god. Burst, burst, burst.
12-2.
The patience, the wait. And he knew where they all were at that point, because I think he heard a scope hit. And you know there's probably one site. So that was that's well played. That super patience.
Yeah.
Devastating.
Because I think if he wouldn't have got those early kills at fast, he would have probably just tried to get some exits and run.
Going up the stairs as well for the last frag. Really hard to try and pop his head from a T perspective. A perfect storm and plus Nico. So there we go. 8-1 for FaZe Clan. There's been landslides today and it looks to continue. By no means will it finish this way. That's really, I think, like for a player as young as Smuya, for example, that's really demoralizing. To lose round like that in maybe 2 or 3 seconds more and the round is impossible to win. But yet you still lose it.
That's tough to recover from mentally as a team. To lose that kind of round.
Were you a rager?
Sorry?
Did you ever rage?
Rarely.
You don't look like a rager. But you never know, man. Sometimes it's the quiet ones.
There's some crazy rounds, you know, are rage-worthy.
All right, well, FaZe are keeping things together despite having lost a bomb site. They still have a triangle of doom, and well, the fate is sealed. It seems big in this round. Nico, Rain, and Cold dispatching of big. I've just drawn a big line on my arm with my pen. Look at that.
Why did you do that?
And now I look really stupid.
It
It was an accident, obviously. Then I didn't mean to do that. But yeah, I have a massive line on my arm. Oh dear. 9-1, just a pistol for big. It's basically 9-0. I think there's like there's the actual score and there's like a perspective score, if you will, in terms of what is happening, how the rounds are looking, who has control. You almost want to say that big don't look like they've come close to winning some rounds. They certainly have, but when you got Nico, he just makes it look so easy, you know.
Well, even despite Nico having that some of the individual performances, it's been a strategical/tactical issue for Big. Ultimately, they've had some good. There has been a couple good rounds, but generally it doesn't feel like they're nearly as well oiled right now.
I like the smoke variation we saw from the T side in mid. From behind the barrel in mid, you can throw the library smoke to sight. They've isolated Arch and library to stop the double peaks on this pistol round. It's a nice one to learn. Next, trying to bait. Oh, that wide swing, not going to get past Olofmeister. And then it was Tizian. It's team deathmatch in this round.
Good, solid mid take. They knew what they were doing there. But then to finish the round, you had one person rapping by himself, and then all the other players still stuck mid.
Not quite the one.
Maybe they should go back to B. They had they almost won that eco round. They know an offer's still there, so if they land their smokes, they can molly off emo and then triple and get a good pop flash in. I mean, you should be getting the bomb down and giving yourself some kind of clutch chance. Because everything at A is it's not looking that good.
Well, here we go. So the buy round of the chance for Big. Let's try to form a recovery. And some early utility toss here. Now, will they respect that deep banana smoke? There's too few teams that are confident enough to try to pop flash through those. And it looks like Xantares will discover that it's a lie. There's no one up there. Fast top mid take comes through, but Olofmeister doing the damage from Boiler.
Ooh.
Great flick there for the third frag. Goes in for the quad kill. And that is where he will fail, but he's done more than enough. Nico there coming in to second mid. We'll find the bomb, and last piece of the puzzle is Mr. Xantares. He now has to go on quite the mission. And it looks like he's already going to get caught here, surely. Oh, he's actually got the frag. He gets dinked, though, by Nico. It's down to 11 HP, and his position is known as well. So there's nothing going here for Xantares whatsoever.
You don't see an op boiler every day, especially picking up 3 like that.
Yeah.
It was a good switch, change of pace, going aggressive from FaZe, and they get rewarded.
I think Olofmeister is one of my favorite all-time players.
I do really enjoy his style. I think he plays by the book, but he always takes openings and opportunities. Very versatile.
Oh my god. That last kill is so satisfying. If you've done any sniper, you know how good that feels to land that shot. I think, like, when I say it's easy that you can have lots of favorites. You could make a list of probably 30 all-time favorites, even just in CS:GO. But I think if I made a list of 10, he would definitely be on there, actually.
Mine too.
He feels like a 1.6 player when I watch him.
And he wears the same watch as me as well.
Any of the like 1.6 like strong 1.6 vibes I get is like Forest. Gives me some strong 1.6 vibes when I watch him. It's very methodical, very lethal. Wolfmeister here now from Arch. And one thing that's worth checking out is what spots players like Olofmeister stand in, given the weapon versus what they expect. If you're against pistols, you're expecting lots of Y peaks, lots of fast-moving opponents. Nice shot from Xantares, and that's what he does. Quick double. That's the A bomb side completely open, and probably the round. And this is Inferno. You know, if you lose too quickly on B or A, it's probably the round.
Yeah,
Although
that's
Nico's
much
alive,
needed.
obviously.
It is much needed indeed.
But
But if you think
probably go for it. I don't think this round is over.
Oh yeah,
They have enough money. And if Nico could do it alone, look at that ding dong from Cold Zero, man.
He wasn't ready.
And he hasn't seen Brokey on a def cam either. So unless they give the sound cues away, they don't know where the second player is coming from necessarily.
Yeah, they gotta go now though.
Yeah, being real patient about this. 2 players left. There's double stack. Brokey, even if he just takes them out, that'll be enough. Xantares facing. It's so close, but it might just be too late now. Doesn't see him hiding. That's all he can do now is just hide. After what Nico did, they might be petrified. Almost turned to stone, but they do manage to squeeze out a second round thanks to 2 1Ds from Xantares.
That's pretty awesome. Good to see Xantares having some good impact, but that's the only round they've won since the pistol. That is a yikes right there. And that round was the pistol round as well.
And yeah, it's not a replicable like normal round. It's just I got 2 1Ds. We've got the side round.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because they were able to take spawn side, it opened up space. So you know they need to do this round. They need to be able to take mid, take banana, push the CTs back, and FaZe again electing to play aggressive mid.
These setups are so good at playing against defaults because they come in, they feel confident, they got their arch smoke down, but then there's basically the entire CT defense here ready to trade you out. However, FaZe don't have the counter utility usage there to be able to stop anything from big, and that's a huge loss.
Interesting call to go back to B after they took 2 mid like that. They should have capitalized.
Two mid like straight away after one another. It's like no time for FaZe to respond.
They're actually running here into like worst case scenario with 2 B players still in there.
Olofmeister starting to creep. See if he can get there in time. There's grenades to delay. They're just edging forward. Does Cold Zero fall off? No, he stands his ground for a second. And Brokey's here for the third. It's a 2-man deletion squad.
Oh no.
Smooya remains, and Olofmeister's still on the A bomb site. He's still not rotating even now. Picking up an M4 before he makes his way. Just thrusting. There's the peak. Smooya down to half health in the pool. It's basically a headshot position. And Cold Zero will finish off the job with the USP.
They overcomplicated that very needlessly.
Yeah.
That's a really weird call. And we're talking about new in-game leaders. That's a big mistake.
Yeah, very confusing call. They just had to smoke off left mid and scale lane, and at most there's gonna be 1 person there.
Yeah.
But you're gonna get those trades all day.
And worst case scenario is that they just think that last player on A is playing arch side when he was in fact in pit, but you're still overwhelmed. Yeah, it's very weird decision. But I think it's very telling to this scoreline that we're seeing as well.
I'm always scared doing this. Great timing. I feel like you have to go so deep to
It's a left eye peek, yeah, and you're very close to the wall.
You just feel so exposed to see if someone's there or not, if they don't shoot, for example. You can show some shoulder, but really,
it's a bad thing.
To get the information is very, very costly sometimes. Cold Zero, Nico, and Brokey remain. Doesn't matter who remains at this point for FaZe. Seems to always be a problem. Over a minute on the clock for Big. They're so deep in towards A though, and now they have complete position. Brokey and Cold in CT spawn. Last round of the half, they've got to go for it. See Brokey jumping in, trying to avoid getting headshot, bouncing off the ceiling. Cold Zero creeps from Arch. He has a Krieg. There's a Molotov and 2 flashes. Brokey's made his way towards Moto. There's a molly deep into the site. On the middle box. Takes some angles away. The flashbangs as well. There is a flank coming, however. Not doing anything just yet, but delays just enough. Before we go to break, there is a Molotov that I'm going to be shown. Let's have a Butcher's.
Oh.
Oh my
That's
god.
pretty sick.
Okay, that's amazing. Nice stuff, Eamon.
Nice
We'll see you
catch,
after the break.
guys. Wow.
Up your game. 128-tick service for the smoothest, most responsive gaming experience ever. Ensure you game seamlessly with our state-of-the-art FACEIT anti-cheat. Track your progress with advanced stats within your community, country, or region. This is the true ranked experience. Sign up now at FACEIT.com.
Cool, right? Want to know where I got it? Well, look, go to cs.money. It's a trade platform and a marketplace at the same time. Just choose, click, and get. Good luck, bro.
Welcome back, ladies and gents. It's 12-3 in favor of FaZe. We've yet to really see Big turn up at all in that first half. And yeah, this is not looking good for Big.
Oh, quickly, our community caster, Dan Chan, not this Dan, is covering the game on Caffeine. So if you want to go and give him some support, then have a look for his channel. Should we call you Dan Chan?
No.
It's like a Japanese thing, isn't it, Chan? I forget what it means.
It's not my name, James.
Dan's not
So
your
why
name.
would you call me that?
Dan is your name.
Yeah, it is.
So it is your name then. Chan is like...
But you Japanese? You speaking Japanese using it in a sentence, James? Japanese sentence?
I'm not Japanese, but, you know, that doesn't stop me from tattooing it on my body, so...
You're gonna tattoo Dan Chan on your body?
I'm not... No, not that. I would never do that. There's no reason for me to do that. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Nico is... Oh, he might find... The timing of that is unreal. If he got a kill there, imagine he gets a bomb plant, a USP, and maybe wins around. Probably wins around because Nico. That's just...
Very winnable.
Like, I wanted to see it, just to see what would have happened.
That's the beauty of Counter-Strike. There's just so many things you can't account for, like timing. Timing is such a huge thing in this game, and it's amazing, but it's also, I also hate it.
That would have been the worst luck.
For MP9s. It's one of the things, like the MP9 is so sick. It's replaced the UMP pretty largely, I would say, but it allows you to get full nades, even if you only got like $3,500 or something. You get like full nades basically on the CT side. And on Inferno, where it's all close ranges pretty much, more or less, it's huge. Because it used to be a really huge problem if you lost economy control, but now there's more ways to deal with it.
I love the MP9.
It's a bit too good, actually. It's so sick.
No, it's not too good.
It's too good.
No, I disagree. Tizian is carrying one of 4 MP9s in this particular round, and see, clearly not too good because they're losing. Ooh, next can't really trace, can't track enough there. He was a little behind his opponent. And then there were 2, Smuya and Tabson, to pre-price of Smuya, asking some questions, not getting much in the name of answers. Broken off are kind of low, but there's so much position for FaZe. They will want to invite Big to the point of no return so they can trade frag, so they can face with multiple people. Big know that's the risk. They may have to give up this round just to fight with something in the next one.
I like that call there by FaZe. Getting those cross smokes in front of Pit and then getting close range into the site. Not allowing that Pit player to help their his teammates, and then just swarming him.
Ooh, Tabson, you're going to die, buddy. Goodbye. Was it worth it? Probably not.
You got 2 kills.
I know, but that won't cover the cost of his gun, let alone his armor.
You bought an MP9. Isn't it $600?
Is it 600?
It's
the
an
MP9
SMG bonus, so it's pushes the full 60 at 600.
Yeah. Still lost money, though.
Well, it would have covered the cost of the MP9.
Yeah, but where's his armor? He has to buy it again. And he could have had 2 MP9s in this round. And since they're buying around everything else... I would want a stronger buy for this round. I mean, it depends. If the opponent's taking like rifles away or something, then there's more investment in trying to stop that. I think a second MP9, you know, a wide swing with a flashbang, who knows what happens, but we'll see what they can do. They've lost Zantares already. Smoke towards CT, inviting a response from the opponent. There are 4 smokes in the hole. They'll continue to fall off. We'll invite next to head towards the B bomb site, but they'll quickly realize that there's no sound behind these grenades. He'll still continue though, but Big are getting aggressive in that mid position. Smuya can re-smoke mid if he chooses to do that, and he does. Tizian, in fact, can re-smoke the B position, which I guess is partly why he's rotating. But smartly, he holds on to it.
So right now things are pretty confusing for Big. They hear it. They've had presence everywhere. There was that smoke that was thrown onto CT, onto B a while ago. It's gone now, but here comes FaZe once again. So they can't really know what's going on. That's a great pick, though, with the 5.7 of all guns.
My 5.7 is like that. Oh my god! Almost a 5.7 collateral.
I love that they got loads of 5.7s on Big right now, doing some good damage.
Well, Tizian and Smuya remain. I think the remainder of this round will be difficult unless Smuya's got some kind of god flashbang in mind. Maybe he actually does. Oh my god, it is a god flashbang, but not a god deagle afterwards. That's unfortunate. The idea was fantastic. Literally never would have seen that one coming. So what do you think of like towards the end of the last round? Would you prioritize trying to frag the players or save the MP9?
In this situation, when you're losing big time, you wanna save. You need your money. But if you're winning, you have more rounds to play with. You wanna try to
take weapons away and make it more expensive for them. It's not often a clear right or wrong, just different opinions. But there we go, 14-4. Big Super Mario Brothers-ing to the A bomb site. I kind of miss the Game Boy Super Mario Brothers experiences. the ones where you couldn't save.
Oh, Nico!
Oh my god.
He was so deep there, that's hilarious.
An interesting play, and
Oh, wow.
Huh.
Nice backfired.
that's a problem.
It's a big stack towards the A site, basically, and FaZe was running a really fast running play in towards top mid. The smoke from cold to arch from second mid, you don't see that all the time, but here he is on the flank, easy kill into Xantares. But now they know where he is, and he doesn't know where Nex is. Nex is on that angle, he's on that Krieg, the headshot position. Nex has every advantage here. But he's got to get the shot, and for some reason he is unable to take down Cold Zero.
You say he has every advantage, but he's facing Cold Zero.
Yeah, but he's got a Krieg, and he's playing a headshot position
Yeah,
down.
he's facing Cold Zero. Have you seen his six-pack, Dan?
The thing is, that is an advantageous duel. So I can't say anything more, James.
I don't know if there is an advantageous
Mechanically,
duel versus Cold Zero.
Yeah, that's still Cold Zero. He supersedes advantages.
That's what I'm saying, man. Even though the Krieg is more accurate, it's Cold Zero.
I'm just saying, that's just for you viewers out there at home. It's an advantageous peak.
Yes.
You can
Most
take
of the
that.
time, yeah. If you're not facing cold, you'll fight that.
Yeah, you'll be
See,
fine.
Rambo knows what it is, man.
That is one of the great things about this game. I made a post on Reddit a long time ago about this when JW was just wrecking everyone, doing ridiculous stuff. Because it looks like it's stupid, the stuff that they're doing, but players who are in the flow state and they have that expert intuition in the game, they know how good they are. So their skill level tilts what you would expect to be advantages and disadvantages from the classic Counter-Strike theory.
Plays.
So they can actually make, specifically with JW in certain spots, he's an advantage, but everyone else is a disadvantage, if that makes sense.
He turns normal situations that don't favor you and finds the ways to make them work.
Yes,
Through
yeah.
intuition, timing, and
Or like the Meister AWP from Boiler, for example. Shouldn't play Boiler with an AWP most, for an average Joe.
Well, maybe there's life in the old dog yet. Smear holds down Banana and immediately gets a lot of information. That can leave Big holding 4 players towards the bomb site. There's the burst flashbang, and it's all success for FaZe. 1 round away from the first map here. Meister goes through his teammate Smoke. Smear's been taken out towards B, and there's a flank. Thought he was safe with the smoke, but it was a trap. Meister forced a grenade out, but that's all the information known. And the bomb, they're still going to go towards A. I like this because they have him surrounded well. Actually, I think it's more a time thing. 16 seconds on the clock, never mind. 16 to 4 for FaZe. That's another lopsided game. Cold Zero 23 for 8. I told you that, man. It's Cold Zero. There's no science with Cold.
They got totally beasted. That wasn't even really competitive. There were some good spots for Big. There were some good rounds on the T side. Obviously, that's where the game was lost. But ultimately, it didn't look very good. And that simple situation really summed it up for me, where they got the 2 kills on top mid and then decided to rotate, as opposed to just going in 5 versus, at worst, 5 versus 2, if there was a stack there.
yeah, you gotta win those rounds. Losing that 1-on-3 early on, that was painful.
Yeah,
those are huge rounds. You need to get those.
I don't think we expected a 4-16 from Big's point of view, but I do think that we expected a better FaZe than Big, all things considered, on paper at least. But this is impressive. This is, FaZe are a team post-Karrigan who we've been looking for more promise, and at least on this map, in this matchup, we saw lots of promise. Cold Zero topping the leaderboard on his new team, Brofist all round, I'm sure. So I guess he's going to be moving to Europe. I want to say moving to Europe because all the MIBR guys are in Newport Beach. But the thing is, when you're on the road almost every week, do you even need to move, technically speaking, since you're always in hotels anyway? I don't know. But after the break, it's going to be Nuke between FaZe and Big Clan. So we'll see if Big Clan can have a better showing on Nuke, which I do believe is their pick. We will see you after the break.